Millions of Russians heading to the polls this week, and one of the fundamental points is the question of whether President Putin should be allowed to contest power until 2036. That is just one part, the main part, but one part of a whole packet of constitutional changes that includes whether President Putin should be allowed criminal immunity after he leaves office, the question of gay marriage and whether it should be banned, enshrining the word God in the constitution, safeguarding pensions, and exempting Russia from some international law in certain circumstances when it contradicts the constitution. So there's a whole packet there, and people will have to decide either yes or no to all of the amendments in one go. They cannot pick or choose. It's all of them lumped in together. So far, the campaign against these changes has really focused on Mr. Putin, made it a battle about him, saying this is effectively a coup and that it's unconstitutional in itself, it's undemocratic. But the campaign in favour of the changes has really focused on Russia itself. It's brought up pictures of famous Russian cultural stars, Alexander Pushkin, the poet, and Mr. Putin has been absent from that campaign. But I think one of the big questions is what will the turnout be, because the leader, Alexei Navalny, who's seen as the main opposition figure here, has called for a boycott. He says the whole referendum itself is rigged because of a history of vote fraud in Russia, and little has been done to stop that. He's calling on his supporters not to vote. But of course the Electoral Commission here has promised that it will be a safe and fair election. They say they are working on all those cases of election fraud, and they insist that it will be free and fair. So people will be looking at the turnout. Of course, there's the coronavirus issue as well, in terms of whether that will put people off. But this really does come down to the question for most Russians. Do they want to allow President Putin to have a go at governing for another 15 years or more?